Test, test. Sweet. Mic works tonight.
Megtooth sabers requires a lot of work on engineering, drilling, smoothing, tapping, setting, imagining, cutting, stripping, twisting, dipping, tin it, pin it, wire it, fire it, lock it, cast it, swing it, bash it. Megtooth sabers.
Bam, we're live. And bam, woo, we're live. And I don't know if y'all got to see it, but you can see I need to shave my head. But at any rate, I've been working on this MPP this last week, and this is an 89 Sabres MPP, and from my Monday night videos, yeah, the blade socket was way too tight, so that was a great tip from Ken of the Hill. But this thing is installed, and it's awesome. I built a blade for it, and the blade was on videos that I released last night, and also the install on this saber was released last night. As a matter of fact, I'm going to open up the hilt just in case the owner checks on so you can see her. So there's the install on this thing. Pretty clean, just a proppy board. It's got a removable 18650 battery down there. That's a new Smuggler's Outpost Dark 28mm speaker. I don't know what's going on with my camera exposure tonight. It is darker than usual. I was messing around with it, trying to make it better. The only thing I have left to do on this is clean up the config and do the volume, class threshold balance, and add a couple, other blades and presets, and this thing will be ready to go out to its owner, Curtis Smith. But this hilt came out awesome. Kind of like the 89 Sabres MPP. It's a nice kit. I just wish that blade socket wasn't so tight. Next, I got this project in from one of our frequent flyers on Megtooth Monday nights, and this is a MHS chassis from Bobby Susenbach and MHS Hilt. And he's got two 12mm illuminated switches going in here, and I figured tonight we'll wire up those switches. And another thing I wanted to talk about is clocking. You can see that here's his switches, and how I think this saber should clock is like this. So this angled emitter, the switches are here at the top, and the angled emitter is here, but it's clocking off. So I'm going to fix the clocking on this saber so that it does that. And maybe I'll do a quick video snippet to add into next week's Megtooth Monday to show how I do fix the clocking on MHS, which is pretty cool. But at any rate, yeah, it's dark too. It's dark side lighting. But at any rate, it's getting ready to get light because we're going under lights anyway. So hopefully it doesn't blow it out. I'll try and adjust the exposure, but we're getting ready to go under lights. So really quick, the two switches that Bobby sent me for the saber, one is an illuminated ring switch and it's blue, and the other one is just a non-illuminated 12mm switch. And I'll show you under the magnifying here in a minute how you can tell these two apart. But really quick, let's go into the calculator here. So I'm going to go into screen share. Let's go into Windows share without me in it. And let's go to the customsabershop.com, shall we? So, www.thecustomsabershop.com. And what we're going to do here is we're going to go into, let's see, I need switches. So, looking for switches. There we go, switches. And now I'm looking for momentary, and I know we're going 12mm AV style, and I'm looking for the blue, and it's the blue metal top, so it's going to be this one. Let's see what the forward voltage is on this LED. 3 volts at 20 milliamps. So then let's go into, I think I have an LED calculator, Ohm's law calculator, saved here somewhere. If not, I can use the custom saber shops, but I thought I had one in here. Let me Google it and see if we can. The custom saber shop's kind of a little weird. Ohm's law calculator. Ohm's law calculator. All right, so here we go. Now, I don't know if this is supply voltage. Let's try it. Let's go 3.7 volts. I know 20 milliamps. Oh no, power there. I don't like this one. Let's go back. I guess we're going to be using the custom saber shop one. I don't know those. So let's go to the custom saber shop calculator. So let's go. What do we say? 3 volts at 20 milliamps. Let's go home. LED calculator. Supply voltage is 4. LED forward voltage is 3. 20 milliamps. Click to calculate. Alright, so we need 50 ohms. We need 50 ohms. So we need to find a 50 ohm resistor. So that's step 1. And we'll do that. Let me check my work cell here really quick. So we need a 50 ohm resistor on this blue LED. So I'm going to go back to y'all. And let's go back to scene. You know what?
Megtooth says saber.
On that. So you guys don't see too much of this camera movement. But I've got to get y'all on a tripod over here. So y'all just bear with me while I get y'all on a tripod. And hopefully it's not blown out. We'll see. Let's see. Yeah, the exposure looks really burnt out there. Alright, I think we're getting better here. Okay, now I'm going to bring y'all in. Yeah, I know, I'm trying to adjust it. Yeah, welcome to insanity. There's only 3 of us on here. Hey, Jeff. Alright, so I got a resistor kit here. Let's find something like 50 ohms. I guess I ought to fire up my soldering iron. See what I got here. See what I got. Oh, there's a 56 ohm. Close enough for government work. Here to show y'all. Right here, 56 ohm. That's what we're going to use. We're going to use 56 ohm. Redneck storage. I hear you. You're killing me. Killing me, Birch. I got messages popping over the phone that I'm on. Alright, so we're going to take out a 56 ohm resistor here. And that's going to be the resistor for our switch. And let's bring the switch in and let's talk about it. So this is our blue ring switch. And if you stand by, zoom in on this puppy. See if it'll focus. Wow. I don't know why my camera's doing this tonight. Well, it was great. Stand by one. Let's. There we go. I don't understand why my camera is not remembering what I'm doing here. It's blowing y'all out. Now, why isn't it focusing? This sucks because it was focusing just fine on my videos the other night. I wonder if the lens is dirty or something. This really stinks. Yeah, I know. Y'all just bear with me. I don't understand why it's doing this at all. Ah, there we go. I don't understand why that wouldn't. There we go. Now we're focused. No, it wasn't a smudge. It was the camera settings. I bumped something right when we started the stream and kind of messed things up. So I'm kind of glad that we can zoom in here, and I want to talk about these switches here for a minute. I haven't been able to point this out this clearly before. And so now we're looking at this illuminated switch. Let me get some stuff down that we're going to need. My soldering iron's heated up. So we're kind of golden here, but I want to point something out. So this switch is labeled, number one, the blue dot tells you it's a blue illuminated switch. Now I'm going to try and get it where it's not in the shadow. You can see this plus sign here on this one. This is our positive terminal for the LED, and this one with the minus sign, that's our negative terminal for the LED. So, you know, most switches have 2 legs, but illuminated switches have 4 legs. So this is your positive for the LED, this is your negative for the LED. Then these other 2 switches are your switch wire and your ground wire. So you got to think about these illuminated switches like 2 things. They're an LED and they're a switch. So the LED goes to the positive, by the way, Bobby, this is your switch. And the negative for the LED goes here. Now those are wired to power. And on a Profi, we could wire the negative to FET and make this switch blink or be solid or do blade effects. And the positive, we can go to the 3.3 or the 3.7 volt pad. I usually just merge them with my other positives. And go ahead and resistor it for full voltage. So what we're going to do, we're going to bring in our resistor and my flux. Where's my flux? This is your switch, Bobby. So we're wiring your switch here. Hey, Chet. Yeah. All right. So let's see. I need those. I need those. I reckon I should have got my tools down, but I didn't want the workbench to be a mess. When we started, it'll be a mess when we're done, don't you worry. So I'm going to zoom out here because y'all have seen the switch now. There we go. So now I'm going to take my resistor and I'm going to get my big gloppy hand out of the way, and I'm going to cut, you know, the resistor tail off to about there. I'm going to bring in my helping hands here. Maybe I can make this work out with my helping hands. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the resistor on the negative side on this. You can put it on negative or positive. It doesn't really matter. But I think I'm going to put the resistor on the negative side. And I'm going to make sure that I have the right leg before we begin. Because my old eyes are just getting old. Yep. So I'm going to put the positive side in the clamp, so I know negative is going to be just opposite of positive. And I'm going to bring in our soldering iron here. And I'm going to butter up that leg with solder. Just like that. And then I'm going to dip our resistor in a little bit of flux, and I'm going to pre-tin our resistor. Hey Kim, I got the PCBs. They're awesome. I haven't built them out and tested them yet, but they're awesome, man. You did a great job on those things. They look incredible. I'm excited for you to be able to see them working. Kim did some amazing engineering work for me. I'm going to try and get this where you can see it. All right. So now the key is, can I do this? I might need some, you know what, to keep my hands further out of the way. Let me get, I'm going to get my forceps out here and get some solder ready to go on this action. And let's moved it before it solidified. 1, 2. There, it finally solidified. Woo! So there is my negative. Now I'm going to get some, I'm going to hold on to this, and I'm going to go ahead and cut my positive onto this thing. So let's get some red wire out. 30 gauge, I think, will run on this. And I'll get enough. I'm going to measure it off with a hilt. That should be enough. And there's some 30 gauge wire there. And I'm going to bring in some black 30 gauge of roughly the same length. Now, I'm actually gonna, I can't do that trick. I'm gonna actually have to run separate switch wires. So there's my black and the red wire for the hilt, which we're gonna go ahead and make this happen. So now I'm gonna strip my red wire. Yeah, the fume extractor. You know, when I'm doing these live videos, I can't turn it on because it's so noisy. Y'all wouldn't be able to hear me. So I have to breathe in solder fumes when you guys are here. But, you know, most of the time when I'm soldering, I've got it on because I don't like breathing in solder fumes, not one bit. All right, so I'm pre-tinning my wire off screen. Y'all have seen that a million times, right? And now let's bring the camera over here, kind of zoom in on the subject here a little bit. And let's see, what can we do there? All right. Now let's bring in some solder and let's pre-tin our positive pad. Melted the switch there a little bit. It's because I'm reaching around the camera. Jeff likes when I do the old reach around right there. That's going to get a rating on my video. All right. Now I'm going to bring in the positive wire we tinned. 4. Solid. All right. So that's easy. Now, shrink, shrink, shrinkaroo. Shrink, shrink, shrinkaroo. Got some shrink wrap out. We're going to send some shrink down there. Now, there's a little tip. Let me zoom out a little bit here. I guess we're zoomed all the way out. If you cut your shrink wrap on an angle like that, it will help cover up the leg. And I don't want this shrink wrap too large, so I'm going to cut a piece about so long. You guys will see it come in there in just a second. I'm threading the shrink on, and I think that shrink should be big enough to get over that pad. Well, shit. I mean, darn it. Sorry, y'all. Looks like I'm going to need to go up a shrink size. That stinks. My little shrink wrap is too big to go over that. So I'm going to cut an angle on the piece, and I'm going to cut a little piece. And I'll probably I'll leave that piece over the wire, and I'll put this one over that one. It ain't going to hurt nothing. I just want to make sure I cover the pad, especially the positive and the negative. And let's get this thing out there a little bit. So there's my little shrink that just barely won't go over that. And now I'm going to bring my big shrink in that should cover the pad. Ken of the Hill, thank you very much for your tips on the MPP from 89 Sabres. You were absolutely right. The blade socket was ridiculous. I'm going to bring in my heat gun now. We're going to shrink, shrink, shrinkaroo. That's probably entirely too much shrink wrap there, but it'll be okay because I can heat it up before we mount it in the Sabre. Now, let's come over here, and I'm going to cut some of the resistor tail off there, and we're going to strip our negative wire. And the cool thing is we'll be able to light this switch up, so you'll see right away if my... So Bobby, do you want the illuminated switch in the front or the back of the hilt? You want it forward or back? Because if you want this as the forward switch, then I have to wire it with main switch wire, green. That's my main switch wire, because I'm anal like that. But I will need to know where you want this thing in the hilt anyway. So hopefully Bobby's still on, since it's his switch. It'd be nice if he was on air, right? But anyway, Ken of the Hill, I did show the MPP that I finished installing at the beginning of this video, but you weren't on. 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't want your stupid war. And now I'm going to put some heat shrink over that resistor leg. I could probably get some heat shrink down over the other resistor leg before we do this. Stand by. I'm pretty sure this will go over that resistor. Alright, so illuminated switch forward. Got it. So I'm going to put this big piece of shrink over the resistor. And that's too big. Stand by one. We'll get her right. We'll get her right. And then we'll send the little piece of shrink. Bada bang. I try not to cover the resistors with shrink, because they need to dissipate heat. If you cover them with shrink, they can't dissipate heat, but it's not like this thing's going to be scrubbing off a whole lot. So, bada bing. Now, let's send our little piece of shrink down there. And hopefully this will go over the leg. Oh, she's going to go. Just like that. And let's Shrink, shrink, shrinkaroo. Alright, now let's stripperoo and see if we've got action on the LED with a test battery. This is what I always do, is once I get them wired, then I throw a test battery on the subject. Of course, I could use my power supply, but what fun would that be? What fun would that be when we got a little test battery action? We get the helping hands out of the way. Alright, so let's hook up negative to negative and positive to positive, and hopefully this damn LED will light up. And it does. Looky there. There's your blue illuminated LED, appropriately resisted, calculated with the custom Saber Shop's ohms calculator. So now that means our other two remaining poles on this switch, ones we haven't soldered on yet with wires, I'm going to do a green and a white. So stand by. Let's cut green and white. Green for my main and white for my ground. So I'm taking our hilt up here to my wiring stuff off camera. And I'm going to need about we'll say yay much wiring. And then I'll cut the same amount of white. And then we'll test this switch on the multimeter, and we'll have one of the switches wired. And Bobby, ooh, that damn wire's in a knot there. How did that happen? Good thing I got another spool of 30. I'll talk to you about the Saber here in a minute, of my thoughts about accent pixels. I think what you're trying to do is illuminate that nice laser cut pommel with some lighting at the back, but to be honest with you, you know, the speaker is going to block any attempts at lighting. You have to remember the speaker is going to go there, and the outside of the pommel fits, you know, tight. I don't think you're going to get any lighting through. All right, so let's bring the helping hands back in, and we're going to pre-tin one of these switch poles. Which one is the switch wire and which one of them is ground? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because you get continuity when the button's depressed, so it just doesn't matter. All right, so there's our switch pole pre-tinned. Smoke everywhere. And now we're going to pre-tin our wire. And, you know, there's multiple reasons this idea came up. Number one, Cole's working on a DV6, and he had the, you know, both switches were acting like activation via the PCB on the Gen 1 DV6s, which it was a simple solution, but I thought I had a video about it, but apparently I didn't, or I couldn't find it. So we walked Cole through it last night, and I think Cole got it fixed. So his DV6 now has, in fact, I don't think he got it fixed. I know he got it fixed. Oh no, Ken, I was glad you gave me that tip, man, because that was the first thing I did, is test fitted a blade in it when I got it in the mail. And I was like, holy crap, that ain't going to work. So I was so glad you told me about that, because then before, you know, I got neck deep in the install, I was able to, you know, to Dremel out the blade socket so that the blade would fit in there. And, you know, I was definitely glad you gave me that. That was a huge, huge tip that saved me a lot of heartache. So I really appreciate it. Check the glowing handle in the dark. I'll try and do that here in a minute. I noticed that paint was really weird looking. I forgot you said it was glow in the dark. It has a really weird texture to it. But we'll do that. It's under the light right now. You can't see it, but it's right behind the camera. So it's relatively close. And I'll put it under some lighting and then turn the lights off and see if the camera captures it. But right now that area is occupied with helping hands and tripod for the camera and everything else. Alright, so we pretend the other switch pole. Now we're coming in with our ground, our switch ground, which I'm probably going to common the switch grounds in the hilt to both switches. Of course, now the helping hands are in the way, right? And I'm trying to look underneath the phone. This is crazy here. I can't see nothing. The helping hands are mondo in the way. Hang on a minute. I'm going to have to give myself some more clearance there. So I couldn't even get the wire on there because the helping hands were blocking the wire. Plus, I think my soldering iron needed some solder on it. Alright. Bada bing, bada boom there. Cut a short piece of shrink for that one. Send some of this shrink home. Bada bing. Yay. Okay. So there's our switch. Oh, with a lot of wires. These illuminated switches can be a mess. So here's what we're going to do now. We're going to bring in our old multimeter. Yeah, man, those Parks V1 DV6s, that's one of my favorite, like, Canon replicas, as it were. I know the new versions of the DV6 are supposed to be more realistic, but I love my my Corbanth or Parks V1 DV6. Thing is awesome. So right now I'm putting alligator clips on my multimeter. I'm gonna bring in my multimeter here. I got it in continuity mode, and hang on a minute because I need to strip some of our white wire and some of our green wire so we can test the switch functionality out and make sure the switch is working right. Now you know I'm going to twist these wires and make them pretty, but you know, we're on a live video. So I'm going to take this is my ground. I'm going to fold that ground wire over on that one. And I'm going to bring in my red wire over here and grab the green one. I'm doing the birch method on the alligator clips. Now I'm going to press the button and hopefully we got audible continuity. So the button's working. Now let's put the positive on the positive and the negative on the negative of the LED, and we can test the functionality of the LED while so now we got the damn button lit up and we're looking. So we got functionality. Now, of course, I will twist all these wires together before we send this into the hilt, and I will probably bring out but there she blows. There is our illuminated switch wired. Red is positive for the LED, black is negative for the LED with the resistor on the negative side. The black will go to an LED pad. Green is my main switch wire. White is my switch ground, which I'll probably common this switch ground with the other switch ground. So the other switch Bobby sent me for this saber is just a non-illuminated 17 millimeter anti-vandal switch. You can see it just has two poles on it. So one will be ground, one will be the yellow wire. I'm not going to do that tonight. Let's test Bobby's glow-in-the-dark thing here. We'll see how that works. Then we'll get into some chat. It's raining. Got a bad thunderstorm, so I don't know if I'm going to lose my camera or whatever. So Bobby says the paint on this hilt is glow in the dark. So I'm lighting it up with a light now. And we're going to put it under the camera and then we're going to see. I have to put it in the real dark, Bobby. I'm not seeing it glowing there. But at any rate, there is still some residual lighting in this room. You just can't see it. But at any rate, I just wanted to talk a little bit about switches tonight. And what got me thinking about it was, number one, I got this project for Bobby in the works, which, you know, I'll twist these wires together and that will go into the hilt twisted. The only thing is my white, which is going to be common ground to both switches. So once I install this switch into the hole, I'm probably going to run all the wires up out of this hole, grab the white, and then I'll solder the white onto this switch with the rest of the wire. So there'll be 2 wires on one leg. It'll be the white wire coming off this switch, and then the white wire going back to the back of the hilt, and then this one will have the yellow wire going to the back of the hilt. Then I'll twist all of those together once they're up through this hole, and I'll send them down to the chassis butt. So those are going to sit there. And Bobby, you missed it at the beginning, but I said I'm going to fix this clocking issue. So your switch holes are here, and the emitter is kind of like this. But I think the emitter, and you tell me, I think the emitter should be like this, where the switches are there, and the low part of the emitter is directly in line. The high part of the emitter should be in line with the switches. And I'm going to fix the clocking on that, and I'll probably shoot a video on that for next week's video. But anyway, let me get y'all back on the stand here. And I'm going to give y'all something else. Let's go Windows share. Let's go look at, y'all can look at the LED calculator while I'm moving the camera. And then let's go back into the chat. Well, Feces is on, which is the craziest name of all time. Oh. Well, that's horrible. Let's try and fix that. Well, the exposure's really crazy. Y'all bear with me. I'm trying to fix the exposure. I don't know what's going on with my camera tonight, why it decided to play all these games, but it is playing games. I wanted all this on auto. I guess it decided not to be on auto. I don't know. But at any rate, Bobby, what I was talking about was, you know, your switches are here. When you tighten this emitter all the way, then, you know, it seems like this should be down here like this while your switches are up. I can fix that clocking, and I'll do a quick video on how I fix that clocking, which I learned from Mad Cow, and we can fix that so it clocks correctly. Then we'll have your illuminated switch we wired tonight and the normal switch there. Let me show you what I'm talking about on the rear of the chassis. This, you know, the speaker is going to go here. And I know you were talking about LEDs here. You can't really do that because the way that's going to seat in there, you're not going to have enough space. There's not really enough plastic here to melt in pixels. And even if you did, the pixels are going to be shining up. They're not going to be shining out toward the back. And you're not going to see your nice laser cut pommel illuminated. That's just not possible the way this is. I can look around and see if I can find, like, and he was on here, Kim Kanama, do you have a 28 millimeter ring of pixels that I can put together, that I can put, you know, on the back side of the speaker where it won't interfere with the speaker? And if Kim Kanama has one of those, then I might maybe could order that. But that depends on if Kim Kanama's got one of those or not, Bobby. But at any rate, you know, I wanted to, let me see if I can find a pen. I don't draw something out for y'all. So on the DV6, you have a piece. Hang on a second. I'm going to draw it out. So on the DV6, you have, you know, your switches here like this on a PCB. And there are traces on the PCB. There are traces on the PCB here and here. So if you connect, you know, a switch wire here and a ground wire here, let's say this side is ground, and then you connect your activation switch here and your ground switch here, and this is going to be your auxiliary switch here. If you did that, it won't work because the switches are connected via trace. So what you have to do is you have to cut the trace out where my X is at, and that way the switches are independent. So that's what Cole had to do on his DV6, is cut out that trace right there, and then that makes these switches independent. While they can share a common ground on this side, you want the activation and auxiliary parts parted, so you have to get rid of that trace, which that's kind of what Cole did last night. But at any rate, that's what kind of got my brain thinking, you know, let's wire some switches tonight. I have a switch video out there where I did this on another video when I was putting together the Ultra Saber Spectre, and I did a switch wire video, but definitely wanted to cover that tonight because Cole ran across that in his DV6. Hey Kim, do you have, and I don't know if you heard me ask this, so basically what Bobby was wanting to do was, I think he's wanting some accent LEDs that are going to show out of the rear. Do you have any PCBs that will go on the outside of the 28 millimeter speaker housing? Yeah, Ken, I thought I did a video on that too, and I couldn't find the video. But Cole ran into that on his DV6 build yesterday, and it didn't really work out. So that, hey, the MPP, because I know some people are here that weren't here at the beginning. This is the 89 Sabres MPP that I built. This is my most recent commission, and it looks like the lighting is a little bit better now. I know it's a little bit out of focus, so y'all just bear with me. My camera didn't go, it went out of autofocus. So there's the install on the MPP. It's a simple Goth chassis. It's got the dark 28 millimeter by Smuggler's Outpost, Corsa Profi 2.2, removable 18650, and a kill switch. Yeah, Kim, he was wanting something that went on the back side of the speaker that would basically show out of the back of the hilt. But I don't know that I like anything in that area because I just don't like that. I did build a blade for this saber too. This is a brand new NeoPixel blade that I put a demo out for last night on the build. Brand new blade. That's blowing out the camera. That's a KR. This is a KR V2 in a clear blade with the strip diffuser. And MPP, this is for Curtis Smith. And I've got the ESB wires on there. I've got the grips in ESB fashion. Even put the green card underneath the bubble strip with solder points on it. So that's almost done. The only thing I have to do on that is some config file stuff, and then that thing's going to be done. Kim, when you say it goes behind the speaker, does it go on the side of the speaker that the actual membrane is on, like pointing toward the outside of the hilt, toward the pommel? And can it be done where it doesn't interfere with the speaker, or does it go on the other side? Yeah, not really. There's not a lot of room for a spacer because this hilt is so short. This hilt is so short, the speaker is basically kind of going to be seated in the back of the pommel. You know, the speaker is kind of seated toward the back of the pommel. There might be room for a spacer, but I'm not sure. Yeah, that's what I'm worried about, Cole. I don't want to sacrifice sound for that light there. And, you know, the light that Bobby was talking about there, I'm not so sure is going to work out because the hilt is solid around the back. I almost think that, and this is my opinion, Bobby, but I would leave this saber like this, and I would just do this simple install on the buttons, and you've got the NeoPixel adapter in there, the stock connector, and I would kind of leave it at that. And you know, I can put some accent pixels in the chassis, but you're not going to see them when the chassis is not in the saber. So okay, thanks, Kim. I'll check out that link and see if I can make that work out. There's no time like the present to start working with your PCBs, right, Kim, on this project, but you know, if I can make something out. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make that work, Bobby. I was sitting here looking at it tonight right before I went live, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I could add some pixels onto the chassis that you can see when you pull the chassis out, but to me, the only time you should be pulling that chassis out is to charge the battery. The recharge port's in the back of this chassis, and I don't know if I would, you know, to me, I would leave that chassis in the saber unless I was, you know, charging the saber on the recharge port, which is going to be right here. Because remember, the more you pull this chassis in and out, you're adding strain to those wires. And when you pull it out, you should only pull it out as much as you need to get the charge port down in there once I get all that installed. So, but I got your illuminated switch wire tonight. So I'll get it installed and the nut on, and then I'll run those wires up through the other switch hole, and I'll finish wiring the other switch, and then the switch wires will be in. That's going to be one of the hardest parts on that saber, is getting the nuts on both those switches, and we'll make it happen. And you know, we'll give it a whirl. We'll do the best we can with it. But you know, this is Curtis Smith's brand new NeoPixel blade. If you guys didn't see it, I actually dropped 2 videos last night. One was building this blade, which is a KR Pixel Stick blade. So y'all check that out on my channel. Brand new video building this brand new NeoPixel blade. And I also did the installing the Profi in that saber, which all I did was showing the wires going into the Profi. I didn't show the complete install, but you know, for anyone that needs videos like that. But that's about it for tonight. What do you guys got going on? I know Cole's built like 3 sabers in the last 2 days. I feel like a slacker. You know, I've only done 3 sabers in the last 2 weeks. Cole's done 3 in the last 2 days. Yeah, feces. They're not a lot of fun. By the way, Feces wins in the chat tonight for the most unique YouTube username. Feces. That's hilarious. He's been on here before, but every time I see him commenting, it's funny as hell. Yeah, they are tough. The cool thing about this saber is that it actually comes apart right near where both of them are, so you know, I'll be able to, you know, they're not that far in there, so I can almost get both of them with my finger till they're almost tight, and then I'll tighten them down the rest of the way with a screwdriver. And I have to see what Bobby was wearing that stock connector as. Oh, it's, you know, it hasn't been nice here, Kim. We're still waiting on fall. It's still like 160 degrees outside here with humidity. I keep going out every morning hoping that it won't be humid, and it is. Oh, that's awesome. Feces is getting a mill. That's awesome. A lathe and a mill are definitely on my agenda. So everybody make sure you pressure Max into building his saber. Build the saber, Max! Peer pressure. He did. He posted in Universal Lightsaber and Elite Sabers, and he's been posting all his builds. Cole's been killing it. I love seeing that. You guys build sabers and post videos of them on the internet. That's awesome. That's like huge cheering section from me. So yeah, Cole's been tearing it up. Chet's working on 2 Ahsokas. One for him and one for his wife. Wonderful Sabers, twin sons. Yeah, man, the Parks K4 is a tough build. You know, I think I'm going to order the Rudy Pando crystal chamber. And I think I'm going to tackle a Rudy Pando Mark 1 and build that out. Now, I was listening to, I don't know if y'all have seen it, but Nerf Herder on TRA, which is Clint. Clint's been doing a bunch of interview videos with Saber guys. And he did one last night with Divinium Customs. And it was cool listening to Divinium Customs talk about, you know, Graflex and Martin Byers chassis. And there was really only 2 people building the Martin Beyer Graflexes, and it was him and Martin Beyer. You know, I know Peacekeeper's Armory was building them, but I know his job is the same as mine. So Peacekeeper's Armory, I know his time is limited too, but I know he built some of those MB Graflexes. But it was interesting hearing them talk about there's just so few people that can do those builds, that those builds are in demand. And, you know, y'all know I've done the Mentor Graflex, and I think my Mentor Graflex came out awesome. I could make it better going at it again. But man, those chassis are so expensive. It's hard, you know, experimenting. I need to build a Martin Beyer chassis. I'm sure I'm capable of the wiring, but I need to build a Martin Beyer. But I think the next big project for me to tackle is going to be the Rudy Pando Mark 1. Y'all were talking about the OWK4. That's what got me thinking about that Rudy Pando chassis. Stop being scared, Max. Yeah, actually, Max, OWK episode 3, I built one. There's 89 Sabers did it. There's a video on my YouTube channel for it. I just built it a couple months ago. I thought I showed it on the Megtooth Monday Live stream, but maybe I didn't. Hang on a minute, I'm going to check. I'll find it here. I need to go in and reorder my videos again because we've got so many videos out there. Where is the OWK? There it is, OWK3. Right here. I'll put the link in the I'll put the links in the comments, but this was there's an OWK3 from 89 Sabers that I built. It was a really easy build, Max. The chassis, the buttons, the way they set up the buttons on that Saber is just awesome. It came out really good. Yeah, the new Profi is going to be awesome, y'all. You know, Frederick was talking about since the chips were unavailable for the Profi 3.7 he designed, he was thinking about redesigning another version of Profi with a chip that he could find. And, you know, I'm kind of like, let's wait. To me, chip productions, you already have, there's a couple companies set up here in the USA and Canada trying to get up and running on production of chips because of the shortage. So I think eventually the chip shortage is going to be over. VC's been trying to squeeze everything into a 1-inch diameter core to keep them small for the nephews. But he's decided to order some bigger diameter aluminum tube. Yeah, 1-inch inside diameter is tough to work with, that's for sure, VC's. I've got a couple of Vader Vault Sabers, and I've ordered various chassis for them, and nothing really makes those Sabers work like I want them to. There's just no room at all. Well, and get the OWK. So, like, this one has a little bit of brass on it, but it's weathered. So this is Tony's. This is another Saber which I'm trying to fix. So it was installed by another installer, and I'm not going to say who, but there's no... I'm trying to fix this NeoPixel adapter because basically you can't even get a blade down in there. You know what I mean? You can't even get a blade down in this thing, so it's like totally useless. So I'm rebuilding this. I'm in the process of rebuilding this, and I'm going to put a different type blade adapter in here so we can get a full blade depth out of this socket. So that's another commission that I'm working for the same guy that we did this Saber for. This is that Gary Morris hilt that we did on Megtooth Monday Live, and this Saber is for the same customer. So I'm hoping to fix this so we can get a blade in it, and you know, it'll be awesome. This is a Rudy Pando chamber, which is awesome. So this is an awesome Saber, but I just don't like the way that the installer did this. So I'm going to fix this so we can get a blade down in there and he can really use this, because it's a shame to have this nice of a Saber and for it not even to be able to be used like it should be. So I'm fixing that. That's next on the project agenda after I finish installing Bobby Saber. So what I think I'm going to do for next week is I think I'm going to shoot a video. Bobby, did you say you wanted me to fix that clock, or do you want to leave it like that? I mean, I can leave it like that, but to me, it would be better like this. That to me looks better. You know, I don't like it clocking like that. I mean, the bottom of the, what I think is the emitter is up there near the switches. I think the long part of the emitter ought to be on that same keel as the switches. I just think the Saber would look better like that. And I can fix that clock, no problem. But I can have this Saber together pretty quick. Yeah, Chet, I think I'm going to do a recessed blade on that. And I think I'm probably going to do a 7/8" blade specifically for that Saber. And I'm going to use a 1-inch blade. Let me kind of show you what I'm thinking on that. So here's a piece of 7/8" blade, which, you know, 7/8 inch blade fits inside a 1-inch blade. I didn't know if y'all knew that. And so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the pixel PCB on the 7/8 inch blade, and it'll be inside a 1-inch piece of blade like this, but it'll be short, just long enough to get into the hilt receiver. And then that way I'll have 2 retentions on that 7/8 inch blade. I'll have the 1-inch piece of blade, and then I'll have the blade retention screw going into the 1-inch piece of blade. But the 1-inch piece of blade will be glued onto the 7/8 inch blade like this. That's my solution. I just haven't built it. And to be honest with you, Bobby Saber's kind of like procrastination from, yeah, okay, I'll fix the clocking. So that's what I'll do. I'll shoot a video of fixing the clocking on Bobby's MHS Saber, so you guys can see how to fix that MHS clocking if it's not clocking how you want it. You can always use shims, but there's a way to fix the clocking without using shims, and I'll show you how I do that. And then maybe I'll bring you guys along for the ride on my solution on this Rudy Pando Mark I that I'm repairing for Tony. And if this works, then I'll be a hero for Tony, because Tony really wants that saber. And then I'll be able to ship, his Mark I and this Gary Morris hilt to him. So he'll get both of these at the same time. That's a pretty big shipment for Tony. That way he can forgive me for not getting the Vader's vaults done for him. It's the same guy that if you guys saw that FET flag, it was a KR Sabers flagship that was done by Griff's Custom Sabers, and then I did the install on it. Same guy, Tony. I've done a lot of sabers for Tony. Tony's got more lightsabers than Carter has little liver pills. Kim's wife's Leia is actually second thin neck build. He's just been slacking. Yeah, I mean, thin necks are always scary getting that right. Yeah, well, that's why I've been procrastinating on this one, Kim, is I think I can fix it, and I have the solution. I did the solution on the OWK3, and I was pretty proud of what I did on the OWK3, and I did a recessed blade on that OWK3, and I think I have a better solution for this Mark I. Just whether or not it's an enduring solution, I don't know. But I'm going to do my best to make it right. It'll definitely be better than it is now, because right now, that saber isn't right. And I didn't build it, but I'm going to fix it. Yeah, I don't think it needs a lot removed. It's just clocking a little bit too deep. I think if I can just get it clocking just right. So it looks like I need to remove maybe a millimeter of material to get it to clock right. That won't be a problem. And there's plenty of threads to get it to clock right. I think it'll be just fine. So I'm actually going to have to go 360. Yeah, it's going to be about a millimeter of material to get it to clock right. But we'll get it. No, I don't deform the threads. Actually, what you do is you just shorten the female portion. So you just sand the female portion, the female side, until it clocks like you want it. The bad part about when you're sanding is you just have to make sure you get all the aluminum grit out of the threads before you test your clock. And I'll use probably 100 grit sandpaper, and it's a lot of work because you just sit there and go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and then you got to clean everything up and then test where your clock is at. And you don't want to go too far because then you got to go more. But you can use shims too, and I have MHS shims. I just don't want to do that. Yeah, Ace Hardware loves me too. They see me coming. They're like, "Are you here for lightsaber parts?" They like joke at me. They know I'm a nerd. And I'm like, yeah, I'm here for lightsaber parts. But at any rate, listen, I got to go help Ella do some homework. She's got to write 5 paragraphs for social studies on the Lost Colony of Roanoke, which is here in North Carolina. And gotta get down there and help her do that. So, but at any rate, yep, shims work too, Max. You can use shims to fix clocking. Just sometimes it's hard to get the shims to line up and be as nice as just the regular. But I'm going to get going tonight. My camera's really been giving me a hard time tonight. I'm sorry about the focusing issues there at the beginning of the video. It's funny, I get sound working and then my focus messes up. But I think it was a productive night. If y'all haven't, go check out the blade building video and the install of that MPP. Both those are on my YouTube channel. And it's another good blade build with the KR Pixel sticks. And that blade came out awesome. You saw it tonight. It blew out the camera. At any rate, yeah, Croatan. Yep. Yep. That's just north of here. Roanoke Island is about 3 hours to the north of here, but you know, it's a 2-hour ferry ride and an hour drive. So it's not too far away. Not too far away. But yeah, we're going to write 5 paragraphs on that. Some homework for tonight. So I got to get going because it's almost our bedtime. So until next week, we'll do some clocking and who knows what else. Maybe some more of the install on this saber. So we'll see. Yep. Don't forget what Birchie said. Everybody be good to each other. Support each other's in the forum lands and the Facebook groups, which are kind of a nightmare. I try to avoid them, but if you're in there, you don't like something, just keep on going. But anyway, hashtag nerd up, everybody. May the force be with you, or the dark side, as it were. And we'll see you guys next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Good night, Chet. Good night, Max. Good night, Feces. Canada Hill, Cole. All you guys. I appreciate you tuning in.
Thank you, everybody, for watching, as usual. I really appreciate y'all tuning in on my channel. And as always,